Hello, everyone. Welcome to another cooking class at Basics Market with me, Chef Sam. Today, we're going to be looking at some kafta kebabs. As always, we welcome your questions and comments. Please go ahead and send them in during this class, and we can answer them live as best I can. And they'll be relayed directly to me via our capable moderator. So today we're going to be using some of our great in-house product, which is this organic beef. This is the Silver Sage Farms brand is what it's sold under, and this is available in all the Basics markets. It's organic. It's humanely raised, and it has a great diet of free-range pasture grass, alfalfa, and corn silage, which is corn which is grown by us and then turned into silage, which just means it's been fermented to allow the cows to digest it easier. So these cows have a great time, and then they become delicious. So please come and visit them in our butcher shops at all our markets. And of course, at our meat market in Beaverton on Canyon Drive. Well, let's get into the kebabs. Recipe. And one other thing, we're also using lamb. And so let me just grab this stuff as we get going, and we can talk about the lamb a little bit as well. So this is the beef, and I'm using ground sirloin here. So in the butcher shops at the Basics Market, the guys are always grinding up the meat fresh. So it's a great place to find ground meat. You want your ground meat to be fresh, as that ground meat tends to oxidize quickly because it has all that surface area. So it's great to have fresh ground beef. And we are using the sirloin because it's a little leaner, and that works well with the kebab recipe. Also here is the lamb, and this lamb, we've been working with this ranch since the early days of Basics Market, and this is from Howley Ranch, and they bring us the lamb whole, and then the butchers break it down in-house. So if you show up at well, I know at any day of the week, they could, I believe it's Thursdays right now, they're delivering the lambs around. And so if you come into the stores on Thursdays, you could actually see and watch a butcher break down a whole lamb, and it's pretty interesting. And some of it gets ground up, and that's what we're looking at here. This lamb is also organic, pasture raised, finished on clover. And lamb is a real special meat, very tasty and also nutritious. And so again, it's good to just have really good fresh product when working with ground lamb. And you can't get any fresher than this. I've got half a pound each here. Our recipe is calling for 1 pound of meat. Now, of course, you could use any meat you like here. Chicken, turkey, pork. This is a real traditional mix up, the lamb and the beef. We're calling them kafta kebabs instead of kofta kebab, because kafta is the Lebanese word, and these are kind of more in that Lebanese vein, but in many countries these would be called kofta kebabs with an O, and it's the same thing. And that word in Arabic translates to meatball. So what we're doing here is making meatballs, and putting them on a skewer. You could easily not put these on a skewer. And there's a big tradition in simmering this sort of kebab or a kafta in simmer sauces and curries and gravies, all kinds of things, and it goes throughout throughout the Middle East and India. You'll find all kinds of versions, and really, you know, the sky's the limit on this. You can do anything you want. So again, this is what I like to be showing here is the technique, and then, you know, this is a really great formula, and this formula is actually the formula that we developed for our stores. And you can, I hesitate to mention this, but you can buy these in the same recipe. You can buy them in all the basics markets, already made and put on a skewer. So, but they're a lot of fun to make, and if you make it yourself, they're going to be maybe that much more tasty. But if you're rushed for time sometime, or just want to try one, you can try this already made for $7.99 a pound at our markets. Okay, first step. We got our meat. We've got our mise en place here, which is just, again, means everything in its place, and that's always a good rule of thumb when you start a cooking project. And hopefully some of you are cooking along with me tonight. This would be a great one to do that with. You know, this recipe really will lend itself to that, as I'm moving very slow, but this can come together quickly for you at home. And if you don't have someone talking constantly like I am, it comes together super fast. But so please join me if you have your ingredients and all that, but you want to get your ingredients out. I have some mint, I have some Italian parsley, I have some garlic. I have some nice big garlic here, heads of garlic. First step, we want to heat up a grill. This could be an outdoor grill. This could be a skillet in your house on a stovetop. I have, you know, I've been utilizing this thing quite a bit for these classes because we do talk about grilling. We've been doing some great grilling stuff, and this is a nice way to do grilling inside. And I'm just using this little induction burner, and I've got this this skillet grill, which does a great job of capturing that char and giving us the grill marks and stuff. And so when I'm doing something like this in an inside space, I'll start it on the grill, and then I'll move to the oven. So if you're doing something like that, you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And your grill is just going to be about the same, which is like a medium setting on your stovetop. And then just get your grill nice and hot. And then what we're going to do is put a little olive oil on there, keeping within our kind of Middle Eastern realm of ingredients, you know, have everything in there. All right, so we've got our grill nice and warm, and this is the directions on this recipe are a joy in that you just put everything in a bowl and mix it up. And your best mixers are your hands for this. So there's that. You've come equipped if you have your hands ready to go. So there's your lamb, and there's your beef. Oh, and one more note with the skewers. I have some skewers soaking, and what I found in this kitchen that was the perfect thing to soak the skewers was just a shallow and a nice small, like a baking sheet, and I just filled it with water enough to cover the skewers. And it's handy to soak your skewers before you put them on the fire, because they won't catch on fire. And that's always a good thing when working with fire, if it doesn't catch your food on fire. All right, so half a pound of lamb ground, half a pound of sirloin here ground beef. And now we shall look at some salt. So I'm using kosher salt. And we're going to put a teaspoon of kosher salt there. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that over our ground meats. And then let's go ahead and talk about the za'atar a little bit. Za'atar is a really beautiful mixture of herbs and spices that's used throughout the Mediterranean, Middle East. And you can pick this up in our markets. And it's handy to have. It's great just on like a pita bread. I have this pita bread awaiting my finished kebab so I can eat it. And that's one way I really like to eat it. But if you just put a little of the za'atar on a pita bread with some olive oil and grill it off or bake it off, it's a really great snack, or goes well with a meal. But the za'atar has some sesame seeds in there. It usually has thyme. Originally, it had hyssop, and hyssop is sometimes referred to as za'atar, as an herb, and hyssop is a relative of thyme. So what you'll find in a lot of mixtures that are available, they'll have thyme, and thyme will be the first ingredient, and it's all ground up. But originally, that would be hyssop, and there's all sorts of healing properties associated with that herb. And that herb is sometimes called the za'atar because it is the main ingredient in this spice blend. But really, za'atar is the spice blend. Hyssop or thyme is a major component of it. Another component in the za'atar, big component, is sumac. And sumac is a berry from a relative of the cashew plant. And that berry has a beautiful bright color, sort of an acidic flavor. And so it's almost like adding lemon to your to stuff. And so that is also one of the big ingredients to look for in a good za'atar mix. So anyway, that's it's a neat thing if you haven't experienced it or used it. I think you'll really enjoy playing around with it. But here we're going to put a whopping tablespoon in here. It's our main spice. And again, it has a bit of a sesame component. Great stuff. All right. And then turmeric. Now, turmeric has, again, it has a lot of great healing properties, benefits, immune system benefits. And to activate that, it has an element in it. It has the curcumin or curcumin, and curcumin is what boosts your immune system. And so you can get turmeric either fresh, like ginger. It is a relative of the ginger plant, so you can buy it in a root form like that and grind it up. And you could do that here. You won't get as much color from it because it has this brilliant yellow color, like, and that's what gives like yellow curry its yellow color, is the turmeric. But the fresh stuff does have a little more oomph as far as nutrition goes, but there's a lot in the dried too. And the dried, of course, is super shelf stable and handy, and it does give you that brilliant color as well. But to activate the turmeric, a little black pepper is necessary, and the black pepper helps your body absorb it. It really, we really should write that into this recipe, is just a little pinch of black pepper, because it also, that's not going to hurt your flavor at all. It's going to be delicious, right? So I'm going to put a pinch of black pepper, and that black pepper will just enable me to digest all the good stuff in the turmeric and really absorb it and get the full potential out of that nutritionally. So we're going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of the actual ground, and I'm using the dry turmeric here. If you're using fresh, it's kind of like the equivalent All right, and then garlic is always a good idea. And here I am with some garlic, and I don't have my handy dandy water bowl today. Usually I try to pre-soak my garlic a little bit so that it's easier to peel, and I do have this water here, and really that'll work just fine. And so we're looking at 2 to 3 big cloves of garlic to make a tablespoon of nicely minced garlic. All right. So go ahead and mince this up a tad. I'll just move this so we can look at mincing garlic. So when you roll the garlic around in the water or just run it under a tap of like best light, slightly warm water, the peel should come off easier, and not mostly it will keep it from sticking to your fingers and your knife and stuff like that. So that's a good little technique. And I'm just cleaning this up a little bit here and there. All right. So with the garlic, you just want to take the stem end off. And then there's a couple ways to go about it. One is just to, start chopping it up. If you want to be civilized, you can go ahead and draw some lines through it with your knife lengthwise, and then come across. And this technique is like what we do with the onions, right? And it ends up getting you to mince a little quicker than just randomly chopping. But randomly chopping has its joys as well. And any way you like to go about it is good, as long as it's nice fresh garlic. And fresh garlic, of course, has a lot of good benefits besides great flavor for your immune system as well. So we're just going to mince this up pretty good. And we'll add this to our bowl of goodies. So the kebabs, or the kafta kebabs, the ground meat kebabs, have been around a long time, and they've been traced back to the Persians, who showed Arabs how to produce them, and then it spread throughout Asia, the Middle East, and Europe eventually. And they say that that's the beginning of meatballs. Is actually Persia is where the original meatball was developed. But meatballs, or kafta, are a great way to utilize ingredients, save money in that you can expand them by adding vegetables, lentils. You can add all kinds of spices to get a lot of different flavors. You can use maybe less expensive cuts of meat, and when they're ground, they become tender. So they have a lot going for them, and that's, I think, why we see such a wide variety and such a popularity of meatballs, because you can feed a crowd really easily and simply for not a lot of money, and with scarce resources sometimes. But here we have the really top of the line beef sirloin and lamb kafta. All right. So another piece of our puzzle here is roasted red peppers. There's a video on our basicsmarket.com website showing how to roast a red pepper yourself. And you can do that on your stovetop, or if you have a gas flame, it's a really great way to do it. Please, if you're interested, look at that, or an outdoor grill, of course, another great way to roast your own red pepper. Or you can just buy some in a jar, and that's what I've got here, and works great also. But it is fun to roast your own, and you get if you do it on a grill, you get a great flavor. So see, I have the whole pepper here, and we're looking for a tablespoon. And so I'm going to just pull that guy out, and then we'll cut it into julienne, which is just thin strips lengthwise, and then across. And this will give us some nice little dice. And then we'll just can rough chop it. And so this pepper is going to give a good element of sweetness and some beautiful color for sure. So we just need a good tablespoon of the pepper, and drop that in the bowl. And then I went a little crazy there. Just put some of that back for my next thing. All right. Okay, so what's left? We've got some parsley and some mint. So I have Italian parsley here. With the Italian parsley, a good way to wash it, sometimes your parsley or cilantro can have a lot of dust and dirt and so forth caught in between the leaves. If you dunk it in a bowl of water in the sink, so find a good large bowl, put it in the sink, get some cold water running, and then dunk the top end of the parsley or cilantro in there. Give it some good shakes in there. All the dirt and dust and so forth will sink to the bottom, and you'll have some good clean leaves to work with. And then to get the leaves off, we're looking for 3 tablespoons here. Again, I'm using Italian parsley. It's good choice for this, but you can use curly parsley too if that's what you got or that's what you like. Either way, you want to sort of just shave it off the stem. So I'm going to shave off what I think will equate about 3 tablespoons to start, and chop it up, see what we've got. So with as far as how these kebabs are served, you can, after they're cooked, you can serve them on rice. You could serve them on sort of like a salad, kind of like a Greek salad would be kind of neat, like with cucumber, a lot of cucumber, tomato, and stuff like that. Olives. Tabbouleh would be a way something to have with it. And then, of course, on a pita bread, which I am going to demonstrate that method of eating them personally. And with that, you can use some hummus and some tzatziki or a cucumber yogurt sauce, but we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there. So mint, mint is really a fun addition to savory dishes. It adds a lot of character, flavor, and fragrance. And we're looking at about a tablespoon of mint. And if anyone has mint in their yard, you'll have plenty more than a tablespoon, right? It really likes to grow. And that's one of the delightful things about mint. It looks like we have a question. Yes.
Yes. There's a question about the parsley and using or not using the stems of the parsley.
Oh, neat. Yeah. Yeah, parsley, generally you don't want to use the stems. The stems are bitter. The question is, do we want to use the stems or not with the parsley? And my answer would be, don't use the stems of the parsley. They're bitter. And that's why you just want to shave the leaves off of the parsley. Now, cilantro is a different story. Cilantro, the stem tastes pretty much like the leaf, and I'll use the stem of cilantro in a lot of stuff. That with the cilantro, it just comes down more to the texture. And so if it's something where I don't want the little stems, involved, then I'll just use the leaf of the cilantro. But if I'm just like we've done some neat cilantro sauces and stuff in these classes, right? And I've just ground it up, and it works great, and it gives you a lot more material to work with if you're turning cilantro into a sauce, if you're throwing it in like a curry, something like that. But I wouldn't recommend the parsley stem. It will tend to be bitter. All right, so that's all the ingredients are in there. So all it is left to do is mix this stuff up. And I am going to grab a glove just because I don't have a handy way to wash my hands up here. So I'm going to use a glove if I can put it on my hand.
We also had a question about using an air fryer. Would that be a good choice for cooking these kebabs?
Yeah, I just recently got an oven, but the question is would an air fryer be a good method to cook the kebabs? And I'd say sure. I just recently got an oven with an air fryer, and I find that I do use it mostly for roasting cauliflower, because my kids really love roasted cauliflower, and so I do that constantly. But any vegetables or meats, with the meat, you want to keep a pretty good eye on it. I think it would, because what the air fryer is basically just a really good convection, and so it could tend to dry it. But I think if you keep an eye on it and turn it a couple times while it's in there, I think it'd be pretty neat. It would go quickly. With the air fryer, you might want to knock the temp down a little bit. I don't know, maybe 325 something, and just keep a good eye on it. Now these, as far as the finishing temperature, you're going to want them to be at about 160 degrees. And that's just your ground meat finished temperature, no matter what. And then if it's ground poultry, you want to take it to 165. But with lamb and beef, 160 is good. And so just somewhere around here, sometimes there's a little thermometer. Oh, I know where it is. Here, there. Yeah, so like a thermometer like this is really handy it's a digital thermometer, 11 to 15 bucks. And then you can, and even right on the side, they often give you all the temperatures for different meats and stuff. And that's the surefire way to, know that your meat is finished and safe to eat. All right. So you can see we just really wanted to mix everything together well, and now we have one giant meatball. And this is actually what I read about meatballs is the first kafta was about the size of an orange, and they were like this, and 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 they were coated with something, yeah, but they were large like this and just cooked off like that, and that would be the original kafta. At some point, the kafta kebabs took off, and I think like just any kebab from shish kebab, you have shish kebabs, which is just the whole meat. You have doner kebab, which is that really meat with the big turning piece of meat when you take the thin slices off. But the kebab, uh, as far as these skewers go, it's just a really easy way to handle the meat to cook and to eat it. So I think it's popular because of that. But yeah, originally this dish was more of kind of like a meatball or a patty, and you could still do that with these, and it would be just fine. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and I'm going to divide this into 4 equal pieces. So we're going to get 4 kebabs. And you just want them relatively equal and in size, so like 4 balls, right? And then at this point, we can either there's a few ways I've done this. So I've got my skewers ready, right? Oh, we got our grill nice and hot. I have here that olive oil, and I have a brush. I'm just going to brush the olive oil on there so these guys don't stick. And then I have my oven at 350 degrees. Or you could just finish them on your grill, and that's just sort of depending what you're doing, and if I think these are just ideal for outdoor grilling. This would be nice. So what we're looking for is like a cigar shape or kind of like a sausage shape. In a way, these are an exposed sausage. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on TV, but these are exposed sausages, but also called kebabs. So you want to just roll it out, and I think rolling it out to a degree to start to get that cigar shape, and then just put your skewer right through the middle, and then with some grip, you can kind of spread it along the skewer, and you just want it to adhere to that skewer. And one thing about this shape that's nice is you can get a real good uniform cook on the meat, and relatively quickly, because you have it's a thin, it's not very thick, it's pretty thin, right? So it'll cook quicker than where if you have a meatball, it might get overcooked on the outside and not cook all the way through. So that's another reason I think this is such a popular shape for this sort of thing. It's just cooks really nice. So you just want to get it sort of evenly, and then you can take this, as skinny as you like, or you could leave it as thick as you like. I'm going to kind of go right in the middle there, somewhere in the middle, and there's that sizzle that we're always looking for. All right, another way to go about this is just to kind of have it in that ball and throw that ball right over your skewer, and then, and then squeeze it into shape from there. And it's all kind of the same. You're just looking for that shape, and you can roll it as well. I mean, give it a little roll. And it's all in the hopes that it's going to stick to your skewer and not fall into the fire. So there's a pretty good one. And like that, and then you can give it a turn, and you can see we're already getting some beautiful grill marks. And I gotta say, they smell really nice. Great aroma from these things. So a little bit about, again, going back to how we're going to try a bite here. Flatbread is really nice to eat with this. At some point, I'm hoping to do a class on pita bread. I have a nice pita recipe I would really like to share. Pita and hummus. Tzatziki. Making your own hummus is really easy, especially if you have a food processor. You know, it just takes a can of garbanzo beans, some olive oil, some lemon juice, some salt, and a little bit of olive. Did I say olive oil? Yeah, olive oil. Anyway, and you just whiz it up and you've got some good hummus. But of course, you can purchase hummus at one of your basics markets, and that would be good too. All right, so put that one down. Give that a turn. And so again, the method here is I'm just giving them a grill on the outside, and then I'm gonna pop them in the oven to finish. And that way I could, you know, I don't have to watch them so much. I could be making my hummus, my tzatziki, finishing my flatbreads. So tzatziki, or yogurt cucumber sauce, is another popular condiment with these guys. Chili sauce is another good one. And pickles are always good, pickles and olives. But a lot of times when these are served in a pita bread, you'll have chili sauce, just like even like a sriracha is really nice, and pickles like dill pickles, and that combination is dynamite. Really good. Okay, so get this guy on there. And another beautiful kebab. Okay, so those things are grilling away, sizzling away, all that stuff. And let's go ahead and I guess do a little plating, huh? So as I mentioned, I've got some hummus, and I've got this nice yogurt cucumber sauce. So this is yogurt, chopped up cucumber, squeeze of lemon juice, a little bit of olive oil, and some dill, or you could use mint here. Mint or dill is really good. Real simple, but very effective for bringing out your flavor of your kebabs. Okay. So from here, I can just take this whole skillet and pop it into the oven. Or I can put them onto a sheet pan. And here I have a sheet pan lined with parchment paper, which is a good way to help them from sticking. Or you could just put a little oil on there. Okay, so here they go. And I'm just going to put these into the oven to finish. And since I have the magic bake oven, they're done. So here we have the finished product here. You get, they shrink down a little bit, but you know, because we use that sirloin beef, which doesn't have a super high fat content like chuck beef, where it will shrink more because you'll lose. It's really great flavor, but you gives off a lot of fat and then it shrinks up a bit. So that's one advantage of the sirloin here. Okay, then I've got the pita bread, and I'm going to go ahead and I have some tomato. And so a little bit of tomato, I'm going to go ahead and utilize that and just get a fresh cutting board here. And just going to go ahead and dice up some tomato. And then I have a little bit of lettuce as well. And this is just like some spring mix lettuce, but any sort of lettuce, like a lettuce that's a little bit, you know, like iceberg, if you chiffonade it, right, which is just cutting it in thin strips, that's good on there. And so from here, you can spread a little bit of hummus onto a flat bread. A little bit of our tzatziki or yogurt cucumber sauce. Take your Kafta Kebab and you can just grab it with the pita bread and pull the skewer out. Throw some of that tomato on there. And if I had pickles, I'd put that on there, and like I mentioned, some nice hot sauce, chili sauce. But this will be pretty good in of itself. And so there you have a beautiful little wrap. And let's have a taste. Super good. Get the mint and all that delicious, all those fresh ingredients really shine. I hope you, those of you who were putting this together with me are going to be enjoying it soon. Please try it if you haven't tried out the recipe. I took a really big bite. As I mentioned, you can find these all ready to go at our butcher shops at the basics markets. If you just want to try one before you build one yourself, feel free to buy them. I think they're almost always available. I see them in all the shops. And for sure, come get some of our silver sage beef and some of this holly lamb, and you're gonna really enjoy this. Thanks again for joining me tonight. Again, my name is Sam. I'm a chef and culinary mentor here at Basics Market. Next week, Lindsay will be presenting a class about eating the rainbow. So that is first, I hope she teaches us how to catch the rainbow, and which can be tricky. And then she'll show us how to prepare it. And then we're doing some bao the following week, some steamed pork buns. And then on the 22nd of next month, we'll be looking at a cardamom sour cream cake, which is sort of a spiced pound cake with some different toppings. And then the week after that, we're going to be looking at eggs, a few ways few basic techniques with the eggs and talking about eggs and what a great food source they are. And and things like that. So again, thanks for joining me this evening, and I look forward to our next class. Basics Market, we have 4 locations: Sandy Boulevard in Northeast Portland, Hillsdale and Southwest on Capitol Highway. We have a big store downtown and on Lovejoy and 13th. And then we have the meat market on Canyon Road in Beaverton. So please visit any of those locations and all of those locations and get some great stuff to cook with, and keep on cooking. And while you're cooking, be happy. And on that note, happy cooking.